Before television became the main medium in American homes, radio created a powerful new relationship between public leaders and ordinary citizens. Franklin Roosevelt and Eleanor Roosevelt used that relationship to bring the White House into living rooms across the country. Their broadcasts explained difficult events, offered reassurance, and made national leadership feel more direct. During the Great Depression and the Second World War, people could hear the Roosevelts speaking through a familiar household object. The radio did not remove the hardship around them, but it helped many Americans feel that their leaders understood the seriousness of the moment and were willing to speak to them directly. By 1940, radio had become part of most American homes. This made it an efficient way for a president to reach a large audience without depending entirely on newspaper reporters or formal public events. A voice could travel from Washington into homes in cities, towns, and rural communities. Families could gather around the same radio and listen together. The technology created a sense of immediacy. The president was not only a distant figure in a photograph or headline, but a voice arriving in the home. This direct connection changed how citizens experienced national news and leadership. Franklin Roosevelt became especially known for his informal fireside chats, which began in 1933, when the country was struggling through the Great Depression. He chose a calm and welcoming tone. Instead of sounding like he was shouting from a distant platform, his language was designed to feel understandable and personal, more like a careful conversation with worried neighbors than a formal speech. The setting and tone helped people listen during a time when banks, jobs, and family security were uncertain. His broadcasts attempted to explain policy while also giving citizens a feeling of steadiness. The fireside chats became powerful partly because Roosevelt did not appear on the radio every week simply to maintain visibility. He saved them for important moments, which made listeners more willing to stop and pay attention. Some of the most popular broadcasts reached about 70% of radio listeners, showing how widely the public received them. The effect was not only informational. The careful timing and conversational tone helped strengthen public opinion and build trust. The broadcasts show that communication is shaped by how often a leader speaks, how clearly the message is explained, and whether listeners feel respected. Eleanor Roosevelt developed an independent public voice through radio. She was not a natural public speaker at first, but regular practice and a clear sense of purpose helped her become a popular radio personality. Her programs discussed working women, poverty, family needs, and the challenges faced by people who were often ignored in national conversations. She addressed women directly and expanded the public meaning of the First Lady's role. Her broadcasts suggested that leadership could include listening to ordinary experiences and bringing those concerns into the center of public life. Some of Eleanor Roosevelt's programs were commercially sponsored, and she received payment for the episodes. However, much of the money was donated to charity. Franklin and Eleanor also appeared on broadcasts connected to charitable events and organizations. Their use of radio therefore had more than one purpose. It could explain political decisions, but it could also encourage public service and support people in need. This part of the story shows how a mass medium can be used for community benefit when attention and financial resources are directed toward charitable work. The radio helped the Roosevelts feel close to ordinary Americans, but the relationship also worked in the other direction because citizens wrote back. Franklin received thousands of letters each day, and in 1933, he received roughly 300,000 letters and postcards. Some writers criticized his decisions, while others described their economic struggles or asked for help. These messages created a vast record of how national policies were experienced at home. The letters also remind us that communication is not complete when a leader speaks. A public conversation becomes more meaningful when people have a way to respond. After the attack on Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1941, the country entered a frightening new stage of the Second World War. The Roosevelts continued using radio during the war, and Eleanor spoke to people who were anxious about what would happen next. She addressed worried mothers and nervous young people, encouraging them to maintain their spirit and trust in the country. Her message did not erase the danger, but it offered emotional support at a moment when families were facing uncertainty, separation, and fear. Radio became a companion through the crisis. Roosevelt's radio talks continued through the war, and Americans mourned his death in 1945 because many felt he had accompanied them through a difficult decade. Eleanor's public voice did not disappear. She returned to radio with a daily current events program in 1948 and later moved into television as the preferred medium changed. The story of the Roosevelts on the radio therefore ends with a media transition rather than a complete silence. Their legacy includes the idea that leaders can use communication to explain, reassure, listen, and serve during periods of national uncertainty.